Hello, this is Harry Hobson. I'm President and CEO of Plymouth Harbor.
And I'm Karen Novak, the Administrator for Strategic Healthcare Initiatives.
Good. Thank you, Karen. Karen, let's give an update today on where we stand here at Plymouth Harbor regarding COVID-19. We'll also spend a little bit of time talking about some CDC changes that occurred over the weekend. And then we'll also touch on some reminders regarding the wellness program. So
Great.
go ahead and give an update.
Sure. Well, currently we have 8 total cases. We have 7 staff members that have all tested negative, have had one negative test after they're positive. All but one have returned for their second test, and we're awaiting that second negative any day now. And that other staff member will be in today for her second test. Our resident that tested positive is currently still at Sarasota Memorial. That's where we're at, Harry. It's looking pretty good.
Well, Karen, I know you spent a fair amount of time on the telephone with some folks up in Tallahassee because there was a change that came about from the CDC. Talk just maybe without a lot of detail what that was, but how that impacted us specifically here at Plymouth Harbor.
Well, the CDC came out with some new guidelines, one of which really affected us. We have found out that those that test positive for a longer period of time are really able to come back to work after about 20 days. The thought is that they're still shedding a virus up to 3 months, but with the RNA replication factor, it is not contagious. So we have this person back within our staff, masked up, wearing the appropriate PPE to protect him and to protect others, just like you and I do each and every day. They also took a look at the duration of isolation and retesting. And they have found that really symptoms will kind of subside after about 10 days rather than the 14 days. So we've kind of done a rethinking process, if you will, in looking at what we're doing. And instead of waiting for 14 days, we're actually going to look at symptom-based rather than testing-based data. And as long as that person has not had a fever for 24 hours or displayed any kind of respiratory symptoms for that 10-day period, we're going to go ahead and keep that person in isolation or retest after that 10 days. And that's been a very busy weekend with the CDC. It's interesting to see how much they've kind of put some things into place and how we've incorporated that into our own process.
That's right. It's a significant change, and we'll see how that plays out, certainly over the next few weeks. Karen, we're also following the governor's executive order on every 2-week testing of all of our team members and related staff. And I understand that number now is somewhere north of 550 that we do every 2 weeks. And how's that going right now?
You know, it's very busy right now, but the number of private duties as well as contracted vendors have really escalated kind of high, and that's including our per diem agency that we use. And by, the decree, the governor's orders, as well as ACA, we have to test every single person, staff related, to come into Plymouth Harbor. So that, again, does put us a little over 550, and it keeps us on our toes and very, very busy.
And it creates such a safe environment, quite candidly, here at Plymouth Harbor. And that's why we're having, I think, the degree of success that we've experienced so far. So we're trying to be as safe as we possibly can. I know Summer wanted us to make a few reminders and announcements regarding the wellness program. Let me start, though. On the wellness program, I've been asked a question several times again, when will we put back the group exercise program? And we're just not ready yet. We're not seeing the numbers that we'd like to see in the state of Florida. So we're not going to visit that topic again until after Labor Day.
Okay. I would agree with you, Harry.
Just don't want to take any chances.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just too soon right now. The numbers are still too high. The positivity rate is high, as well as the number of cases that Sarasota Memorial is experiencing, not only in the hospital, but the ICUs as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And also clarify something, would you please? Again, we had some questions over the weekend in the exercise area, the cardio room, I call it. And we have, a maximum of maybe 10 residents at a time. It's been pointed out that some do wear a mask as they're going through their exercise, and some do not wear a mask. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know that that's very important.
Sure, but before you even get to the wellness, we want to remind you guys to really screen, get those armbands on you before you actually go into the wellness center. If you're going into the exercise room, you may notice somebody that doesn't have a mask on, and chances are they might have a little bit of respiratory compromise. Summer reached out to some of her coworkers over at Sarasota Memorial and spoke to their quote unquote wellness people. And they said, if it affects someone's breathing, as long as they social distance, it's okay not to wear that mask, because they'd rather have someone breathing freely and allow that oxygenation process to take hold than someone be deprived of that oxygen and maybe have some negative occurrence happen as a result of that. So if you would like to wear your mask when you're exercising, it's quite okay. But mostly keep that social distance and be respectful of that person who's exercising next to you.
Good, thank you.
Sure.
Karen, I want to encourage the residents who have not seen our last video, the one that was focused on team members, to please do so. I don't know about you, but I've received quite a few comments from team members that were so pleased that we addressed them. And it just gave them, I guess, a feeling of being re-energized. So I was pleased to hear that. We had a great team during that almost 28-minute video, but it sure seems to have been worth it. And we'll do more of those with our team members.
Absolutely. In a time of quote unquote isolation, people can feel like they're alone and by themselves, but by no means are they. They have a whole family here at Plymouth Harbor that is with them, whether it's physically or if it's just in heart. And I think they truly felt that they were not alone and that they had support. And as you use those words, the cavalry came. And
Yes.
we did indeed come together as a group and really help that area that was kind of in a little bit of a decline.
Yeah, I was reading some emails over the weekend, and it was nice to see some of the team members that said, wow, what a difference 1 week makes. All that planning paid off as we got through the week, last week, going into the weekend, and where we are today. So that was a great team effort. So I was very proud of everybody involved in that. So, Karen, do you have anything else for this update?
Sure. I think we were also asked about masks and wanting to know when we should wear our mask, the residents and the staff. By policy here at Plymouth Harbor, our staff have to wear their masks at all times, whether they're inside the building or outside on the grounds. They must wear their masks. For the residents, we ask that you do wear your mask anytime you step outside the apartment. If you have a respiratory compromise, so please, you need not wear the restrained N95 masks or that KN95 mask. They're a little bit different. If you recall, the N95 mask is the mask that goes over your head. That's the one that gave me the mask here a while back, right? It's got that tighter fit over your face. The KN95 is that same filtration rate as the N95, but it loops behind your ears and it's got the little steel band across the nose, the bridge of your nose. Sometimes for our respiratory compromised residents, the ones that may have COPD or congestive heart failure, you may have to wear a surgical mask in order for you to breathe okay, and that's all right. We want you to be safe, and the safest way that you can be is wearing a surgical mask. It really is how you feel wearing what mask that really matters, as long as you're wearing a mask. How to clean the masks. I think I use just a little bit of liquid antibacterial soap. I like soft soap because it smells really good too. Put a little bit on wet face mask, and then I use an old toothbrush and gently kind of scrub because I'm a makeup person. I like to wear my makeup, and you just use your toothbrush and just kind of scrub it very lightly, and then allow this mask to air dry overnight, and it works out just fine. Should you notice on the inside any pilling, like little balls that kind of form after a while, or if you just lose the integrity of a mask, come down and see us. We'll give you another mask for you to wear. Again, we want you to be safe, and wearing a mask that the integrity is lost is not one way to do that. So feel free to come by and pick up another mask.
Karen, how do you feel about adding a little bit of fragrance with oil?
You know, it has pros and cons. I think Tina, as a matter of fact, tried an essential oil on it,
Mhm.
and it got too strong for her and gave her a headache. But the soft soap that I use sometimes, I'll use a vanilla scented one, and it's not too heavy because you kind of wash with it, but you rinse it off, so it doesn't keep that real intense smell. But it's totally up to you, whatever you'd like to use. But I probably wouldn't recommend a concentrated oil on the mask itself. Never do we want to put any kind of spray disinfectant on a mask because that will lose that permeability, allowing whatever particles, it allows it to kind of go back and forth. So that spray disinfectant does indeed kind of mess with the integrity of the mask. You may not see it, but believe me, a really great experiment is to spray the inside of a mask, like the surgical mask, with some disinfectant spray, then put some water in it, and you'll see the water go right through it. The water goes through it, chances are so will any kind of organism. So again, no disinfectant spray on your masks.
You know, I think at 2020, and the word masks has to be the most popular word so far in 2020.
I would agree with you. Mask and social distance.
Absolutely. And speaking of social distancing,
We want to make sure that you maintain that social distance at all times, 6 foot perimeter. When you're out and about, even when you're walking, we want to make sure that we keep that social distance. In the lobby, any crowded areas, do your best to keep that social distance at all time. We want to make sure that you wash your hands quite frequently and hit those high contact areas, keys, cell phones, doorknobs, anything that you're touching quite frequently. Make sure you're cleaning it, because whatever you're touching in all likelihood could end up in an orifice on your face, and there you go, you get some kind of infection from that. So we appreciate all that you're doing though to keep us all safe. Thank you.
good. Well, thank you, Karen, very much for the information, as always. And we're at the end of this video, so that means it's time for us to don our masks.